I think you can be jack of all, master of none. And so I want to make sure that I'm mastering something as I go to the next level. You all should do the same thing. This is not just a Samad thing. This is a thing that practice I think we all should do. The people who were going to the parties knew what was going down at the parties. That doesn't mean or justify anybody being drugged or abused. But I am saying that if you were going to one of those parties, you knew what was going down.
Hey, kings and queens and everything in between. Welcome to this episode of a Sip with Samad podcast. And I'm your host, Samad. Let's jump in.
I shouldn't walk out this way. Sorry, but my feelings have changed. I would only hurt you more if I stayed. So I can't go on pretending that I feel like I did yesterday. So I can't stay and keep living this lie. I finally found the strength to say goodbye. I'm on my way. Nothing can change my mind. Leaving behind what we had yesterday. Oh my gosh. Do y'all remember that song Yesterday by Shanice? I used to love that song. Anyway, enough about me going down memory lane. Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the A Sip with Samad podcast. And you all know who this is. Who else would be sitting behind this mic sipping? So welcome back. Glad to see you. So excited to be here. Yet another week. I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I know that there was some inconsistencies. Actually, it's not ahead of time. It's after the fact. So it is what it is. Look, I started this podcast before Evie was born. And I'm still strong. I'm holding on here. But yeah, you got to kind of go in the direction the baby goes. And so sometimes I'm trying to get the episode recorded. But then I'm just tired from being a parent. It's real. It's real. It's not a bad thing. It's real. So cheers to parenthood. I'm actually really, really loving it. This is kind of like my thing. It's interesting how you balance like career and parenthood at the same time. It's the wildest shit ever. Wow. So what am I sipping? So I am going back to the basics. I'm recording this on Taco Tuesday, actually. I know it aired, well, of course it airs on Wednesday, most Wednesdays when I'm on schedule. But so I'm just sipping a margarita. I'm using Espolòn tequila because I just don't want to put expensive tequila inside of something like a margarita. But I do, as you all know, use my own fresh lime. I squeeze the limes myself. It is a lot. It is a lot, but it just makes the flavor so much more rich. So much more rich. So, but yes, I'm just drinking a margarita for our sip today. Hit me up. Let me know on social medias. What are you drinking these days? I'm always interested. I've gotten some drink recommendations and some suggestions. I know I have not done them on camera. Once again, time. Consequences of having a baby. But I have tried some of them. So keep sending them in. Keep sharing what you're drinking. Let me know. And even if you were drinking Hennessy, the sweet nectar of the ghetto, I want to know because it's just always interesting, like to know what we're sipping on when we're talking with each other. But yeah, so that's what I'm sipping on today. So much has happened since the last episode. So where do we start? Let's start with the fact that Avery took her first domestic I guess, travel ride. So me and Avery packed up. Alan had to go out on business. And so because he had to go out on business, I was like, oh, this will be a good time to take the baby up to see family and do all the running around and stuff like that. So she got a chance to go up to Jersey to see family. It was so amazing to see my family giving her love, right? Pouring into her. I guess people who poured into me, pouring into her. So it was good to see. Now, I will say one thing, and I know my family is listening, and so I'm going to say this to them. They know who they're talking. You know who I'm talking to. Y'all spoiled the hell out of the baby. And I say this to you. Y'all already knew she was coming with a certain level of spoiled because she's my baby. But y'all took it up a whole notch and you made it difficult. We still trying to get her back on schedule. Let me tell you something. Between my aunts and my grandmother, that baby did not touch the ground, the pillow, or anything else. Aunties, uncles, everybody, she was held. And so now we're in this space where she's like, oh, well, if this is what we're doing now, then I need you to hold me. I would say her love language has to be physical touch because she's always, since birth, been very much like inclined to calm down with touch. But now it's gone. It's gotten like the first 2 days, I had to like wean her off, like, hey, so I'm going to keep you on me and I'm going to, like hold you till you go to sleep. Anyway, y'all don't want to hear this. It's just a lot. And for my family, y'all spoiled the hell out of her, which I love to see. I am hating the sort of calibration process, but I love to see it. And so that was great to do. I also had a chance to sleep in my childhood room, which was interesting. I stayed at family's house, which I don't do typically because I just, after a certain age, you just want to be able to, like walk around naked in your room, and you can't do that if you're staying at the family house because you just don't know. So you just don't know what might happen. And so, no, I didn't stay at the family house. I stayed in my old room, which was interesting. I still got pictures or there's still pictures of me or plaques or trophies from accomplishments that I achieved when I was still a kid and living in Jersey. So that was nostalgic. That was definitely nostalgic to have Avery there. That was good. I also had a chance so I'm not working. You all know this, and I'm going to go into my whole parental leave, give you an update there. I'm still trying to come up in this game. So I got invited to speak at the White House initiatives meeting on HBCUs. And so I did a presentation there. Really excited, because I'm on my professional shit and I'm trying, to climb the ladder and make space where space isn't made for me. But it was good to be there. I'm really excited about these opportunities that I've been getting professionally to sort of continue to build up my brand as a thought leader in this space. And so that was an excellent experience. So I dropped Avery off of family, drove to Philly to do my presentation, and then ended up coming back to Jersey and made some stops. I'm sorry. I know for my friends who are listening, you're like, but you didn't hit me up. I know. I'm exhausted. And so I didn't have the bandwidth to hit anybody up. And so I'm not apologizing for it. I'm just saying, because I'm always occupied, sometimes I just needed that time to myself, and my cup was being filled by family. And so if I didn't see you, I'm not going to promise. Hopefully I'll see you the next time. So, but no, that was what we did. So that was good. I actually went to church for the first time. I will say that shout out to my boy Marcus. He was recently ordained as a deacon at his church, Beulah Baptist in Vine City. I hadn't been to church in a long time. I may have shared this on a previous episode. Once I went to grad school and when I went to DC, church became a little interesting. And so I was trying to find a church home in DC. Couldn't really find a church home there. Then ended up, I visited a couple, Mount Enon, which I did like a lot. I like that church. Delvin Coates, I think is the name of the pastor. I went to First Baptist of Glenard, and that was just not for me. Not the speech, the anti-gay rhetoric. I couldn't take. Meanwhile, everybody was gay. But neither here nor there. I couldn't find a church home in DC. So I had like a really big pause of going to church. I actually grew up in the church. I know some of you are probably like, but Samad, your name, right? Isn't that Muslim? Yes, it is. But I didn't grow up Muslim. I grew up Baptist. And so I grew up very involved in the church. I enjoyed the church. The church, provided, I would say, structure. It provided access. It provided lessons. Although I will say growing up, the church, nobody was able to kind of make the rituals of church make sense to me as a kid. Or just the lessons that we were learning, like they weren't applicable. Now that I'm older, I understand a little bit more, but the lessons as a kid, it was really hard. And that could have been the teachers in the church, or it could have, who knows, or it could have just been me. Maybe I was just a little off and wasn't really ready to receive. But as I got older, I started to understand a little bit more. Either way, shout out to Marcus. Sorry. I went to church, and that was a great experience. I actually like that church, and I probably will go back again, because the thing I liked about it most was the fact that it was young ish, like the median age of the folks that were there in the service. It was like it was my crowd. Like, I'm getting older now, so I ain't trying to be in the church, raising the roof. Do people still even do that? Raise the roof. Right. Raise the roof. Hey, but I just want to be around folks. I want to be around community. I want to be around family. And what was interesting about the sermon that was given by a guest pastor, still affiliated with the church, was around this idea of community. And I will say, and I talked about this kind of lightly on previous episodes, I would say our community is changing. And so now places like church seem like, I probably need to be there to start help building my community for Avery's sake. Before, when it was just me and Alan, the community was our friends who we enjoyed traveling with and going out to eat and doing all these things because we were living lavishly. And now we have a kid. And so now it's very much centered around family. I'm really going down this rabbit hole with y'all while I'm doing this, but it's interesting. So yeah, I'll probably go back. I enjoyed it. Young pastor, actually one of my Morehouse brothers, and apparently one of my Alpha brothers. So I need to go back and support my people. Just another reason to go back to the church. So, but I enjoyed it. And so more to come on that. Maybe I might become a little more spiritual in my age and parent journey. That is actually good. It's those fresh limes. I'm sorry. So let me see here. I'm looking at my notes. So let me give you an update on what it's been like being on parental leave. I think this is like week 3 for me right now. And it's a lot. And it's not a lot because it's just, I like the structure of work. I always said that I would be the person that will keep working like until I die. And I feel like it's breaking me, y'all. This whole parental leave thing is breaking me. It's giving me a taste. And I'm not liking this feeling. I'm not liking it. I really wanted to take this time to bond with Avery, which I'm doing every day. We're bonding. But bond with Avery was my number one priority. But I also want to do some sort of soul searching career-wise, because I'm at a point professionally where I need to start figuring out what it is I want to do. And I know we all have these conversations with ourselves around like or maybe we should, maybe actually, I don't want to make an assumption that we all do. We all may not. I can tell you, I'm having the conversation with myself, trying to figure out, okay, well, what do you want to do with yourself professionally? Like, this was a milestone for me to have the opportunity to do the work that I'm doing today at the organization that I'm doing it with. I'm like, this is what I set to do. Now it's like, okay, Samad, you need to figure out what that next thing is that you're setting to do. So that way you can start marching towards that direction. And I say that all the time, like, to everybody that I have mentored along the way, one of my biggest pieces of advice is always to set a goal, a lofty goal, and walk in that direction. You may divert and go in other spaces walking towards that goal, right? But you will ultimately you'll land where you're supposed to land. And so it may not actually be where it is that you set, but you were walking nonetheless. So I give that advice to a lot of people. I need to do it myself. So I'm really on this journey to figure out what that is. And I've narrowed it down to 3 directions that I see myself professionally going. One, I see myself sort of going towards being a college president. The other area I see is rising to leadership within the philanthropic sector. And then the other area is leading a national organization in the field that I guess, an expert in, which is higher education, which I don't talk a lot about because this is not the time or the space to be talking about higher education. This is for us to have a conversation. We're not talking about that. We ain't talking about work. But we will talk about our career aspirations because that's what I'm clearly doing right now. Those are the 3 directions. And so now it's like, all right, I need to set a goal that will what's the direction I'm walking towards right now. And I could be walking towards all 3 of those, but I just need to choose one, I think, for my own sake, because I think you can be jack of all, master of none. And so I want to make sure that I'm mastering something as I go to the next level. You all should do the same thing. So this is not just a Samad thing. This is a thing that practice I think we all should do. Some people do it in the form of vision boards every year. That's fine. I like to be a little bit more strategic with mine. Because vision board is like, oh, look at that. I cut a picture of a family out. I am going to have a family. And I'm like, no, I need a plan. And so I'm more of I need a plan type. And as a result, I'm very much like, let's put this plan together. So that's one other thing that I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to do some more diving into my voice acting work, which I was doing a good deal. Actually, probably before I even started this show, or I think I was doing that. And so I want to get back into that because that was fun, creating characters with your voice. Like one day I just came to and I was like, I used to sing. So I know how to use my voice and I act. So let me put both of those together. Voice acting. Oh, okay. So yeah. The other problem I have with just being on parental leave is that I feel like you're always home and I haven't had a chance to engage with people outside the house. And so I need to start finding things to go to. I'm actually saying, I actually am considering going to a chapter meeting, y'all. I have not been to a chapter meeting in about a good 2 years. And so, yeah, I might do that because I need to be around some people. It just can't be me, the baby, and Alan. This is not. Mm-mm. But I love them both. No, so that's, I guess, been going on in my world. So I wish I can give y'all more around what it's like to be on parental leave, but I'm figuring it out. I need the structure, though. I like the structure of work. I'm focusing my attention on this one thing, but I'm also exploring some other things. So anyhow, all right. So what's going on in the world? Before I even go to that one, can somebody go get Bashir Gray? So I don't know what happened, what drugs somebody gave him at a party, what somebody put in his drink at the party, but he has been off lately. And maybe this has always been him. I mean, but I don't want to open up a social media link, a link I see on social media and see him. It's gotten weird, y'all. If folks don't know, you can go on, probably follow him on social media, follow him on Twitter. I mean, he has everything from the Ruta to the Tuta showing, and he looks like he's on drugs. He looks like he's been drinking. He doesn't look well. And I don't want to see him that way. I don't want to see him naked. It's not appealing. It's just not. And yeah, you weren't even, let me not do that. Oh, who is Bashir? He played Hakeem Lyon in Empire. So that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, nobody wants to see that. And so I know that there were some allegations or some rumors in the rumor mill about him, so this is a good segue into what I'm about to talk about now. But I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of seeing it on the television. I don't want to see us talking about Diddy anymore. You all know by now, Diddy has been put in custody, or he was put in custody by the feds. And he's being charged with, I think, 3 different crimes. Let me see. Did I have it written down? I know racketeering was one, and something around sex trafficking. And the other one was, I guess, prostitution across state lines, something like that. 3 federal crimes that he's being held on. And, they have evidence, they have a case of, apparently, or they wouldn't have taken him into custody. But I think the part that's bothering me about all this, because I know, look, we're going to be who we're going to be, people. And so everybody going to have something to say, because everybody becomes a legal scholar at this point. Everybody becomes a legal scholar. And so then people I'm tired of hearing y'all talk. And then the thing that's also bothering me is when I look on social media and everybody's trying to make this like gay. This is how I feel like gay people be getting a bad rap sometimes, because there's like, we're just these hedonistic people. And it's like, oh, but he had lube and baby oil. Must have been some gay going on. And it's like, no, straight people, I'm sure, use lube and baby oil too. Like, oh, and then the people who were implicated, like, I don't know, and I don't care, to be honest with you, if he has participated in gay sex. Why don't I care? Because Diddy ain't here and I ain't with Diddy. So it don't even matter. Like, what does that do for me? Nothing. What does it do for you all? Nothing. So it's like, oh, well, now he was with Meek Mills. Who cares? Who cares? Sorry, that I had to get that out because it's been bothering me. Like, I don't think that's not what he's being charged with. The reason why the feds picked him up was not because they were having gay sex. None of those 3 things I named had anything to do with gay sex. So, yeah, it's just interesting how on social media, at least, it just seems like that's everything that comes up. And maybe it's the algorithms. Maybe the algorithm was like, gay, 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 gay. Gay. So everything on my timeline is talking about Diddy with a gay lens. Is it the same on your timeline? Because I'm just letting you know, I'm tired of seeing it. It's getting on my nerves. I want us to talk about something else. I want the justice system to take whatever course it needs to take. Yeah, I just, it's hard trying to be in celebrities' business like that, because I ain't gonna get paid regardless. And so I'm like, it's not like I get paid to gossip. I don't get paid to care about their business. If things go south with Diddy, I'm not gonna get paid. I'm not gonna be a part of a class action lawsuit. So I don't know. I feel personally, and this is no shade to those who do care, the energy that you put into caring about that could be put someplace else that could probably advance your life. What I do know is knowing about Diddy and his sexcapades and who he having sex with, or whose cheeks he clapped, or what he used the baby oil and lube for, is not going to advance your life any, unless he used it on you and you need to get some money inside that. I don't even know what money you would get, but you need to get involved into the jump on his case. Otherwise, I just don't see. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I mean, I feel horrible about what he has done, or what is it alleged that he's done to women. I know that we saw the video of him beating Casey. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I feel bad about that part. I feel bad about drugging anybody, unwillingly. But like I said, it plays into this whole notion that gay people or gayness is a bad thing, because you see what Diddy doing. He up there having gay sex. I'm just going to say, after a while, the people who were going to the parties knew what was going down at the parties. That doesn't mean or justify anybody being drugged or abused. But I am saying that if you were going to one of those parties, you knew what was going down. All I'm going to say. Enough on that. I know this happened a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to talk about Auntie Shay Shay. I didn't say anything initially when the whole leaked or accidental video of the ceiling and him having sex with Michelle came out, because I needed to sit with it for a bit and just see what folks had to say. And I think that most folks were not, nobody cared like I did. The thing I cared about was, ain't no way. Now, I am, as I've gotten older, not the most savvy with how to navigate through some of these apps. So I can get it from that standpoint. But I do know how to go live on Instagram, and the steps that it takes to go live on Instagram, it's too many steps for that to happen for you to be in the throes of it all. So first he lied and was like, I was hacked. What the hell that mean? Then he finally comes clean and was like, yeah, that was me. I wasn't hacked. I accidentally pressed the button. No. Shannon, no. That you did not accidentally press the go live button. So that was crazy. And I think what bothered me the most about it was not that we had to endure his huffing and puffing and, oh, Michelle, that's my Michelle. No, that's my I was going to make a video on Instagram, but I don't know how to do that like that. You just going to lie to our face like this. Seriously, for real. But now he's getting like paid ad campaigns to advertise sexual enhancement drugs for men. I don't know if it's enhancement, but sexual performance drugs for men. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Sorry, I got sidetracked. The thing that bothers me about this is, I think earlier on when he finally came out and said it was him, he then made reference to the conversation he had with, I guess, Cat Williams. He said was one of the first people that called him and said, I guess they're not calling you gay now. And so I'm like, was this a whole scheme that Todd set up to come to you with the bullshit? Shout out to Aunt Bertha, Candy's aunt, for those who don't know. But yeah, like to kind of dispel any rumors about him being gay. The fact of the matter is, I don't know who cared. I don't know. There might be a gay person sitting there like lusting over Shannon Sharp, but I doubt it. There probably are some, not a lot. And so what is that? Who were you trying to do that for? Were you trying to convince gay people that you weren't gay? Or were you trying to convince straight people that you weren't gay? And what straight people in particular? Like, did somebody call you gay that you felt like you had to do this? And I don't know, maybe you aren't doing this because of that. But the fact that it's circulating around is just troublesome. And we haven't heard that come out of your mouth, but you said that Cat Williams called you and that's what was said. And y'all laughed about it and kikied about it. I don't think nobody really cares. I mean, some people probably be like, oh, okay. Like me. Yeah. So it is my hope that you didn't do it for that reason. That's disturbing if you did. So, but yeah, that's the part that I don't like is that, like, how did this, like gay people, like how I get in this? Gay people are like the people in Springfield, Ohio. Like, wait, what? So I just hope that wasn't the case. And if it was, like, do better. Oh, going back to the whole Diddy thing, there was something that I saw on social media, and there was some woman who said, see, I guess it was a picture of his boys, the 3 boys that he's raised or contributed to raising. I don't remember all their names. Let's see, Justin, Quincy, and I guess his name Sean, Christian. And they were going to support their father. And she was making it seem like it was a bad thing that like they shouldn't have done that. What did she say? Oh, I ain't got my damn phone on me. Oh, well, I can't show you. But no, she made it seem like it was a bad thing that they were supporting their father and going to see him. And I'm like, what is wrong with you, woman? Like, it's crazy. I'm like, even my mother throughout her struggles and legal battles and stuff like whatever she was going through. I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to support you. You support your parents. You thought they shouldn't be there to support them. You thought that they would, like, what were you expecting? What were you expecting? I'd be interested to know. I wish I could pull up on this computer, but it would take, whenever, how when you have to use technology in front of people, it don't ever go the way that you expect it to go. So I'm not even going to try to pull up. I don't even know how to pull it up. I know I can pull it up on here, but I'm not going to try because I'll embarrass myself, and I am very technologically savvy. That was me trying. I've literally just tried right now, and it's and I'm clicking and nothing's happening. So no, I can't pull it up. But yeah, so that was interesting to see. More recently, I saw a video around sort of aging as a Black gay man. It was, I guess, a little mini series that was put out by a writer local here, I believe, here in the Atlanta area. And it's interesting. I think about aging often. Before I think I think about it more now than I did when I was younger. So when I was younger, I knew I was aging and I welcomed it. Now, as you're starting to age, you're like, ooh, okay, my chesticle ain't sitting up like it used to. And you notice that your joints might, creak a little bit, or your foot just hurt out of nowhere, or it's just certain things you just start to notice. Your hair's not as thick and lush as it used to be. For my ladies, you got a little stash now that you got to bleach or get waxed often on your face that you didn't have before. Like, look, I get it. But is the idea of aging and being gay and being Black and being in a relationship? Like, I talk with some friends often. And actually, me and Alan had this conversation from the perspective of two people who are I guess with each other and committed to each other. Is like, I don't know what it's like to be in the Black gay male dating pool right now. Yeah, I don't know what it's like to date as a Black gay male in today's day and age. And to be honest with you, when I look in from the outside, I don't know if I would be able to endure the rigmarole of dating, right? In today's space, especially in a place like Atlanta. Like, it just seems really, really difficult. And I feel like maybe when I was in college, there were more close-knit spaces where you can meet people. And even though I didn't even date people that I went to school with, I dated people outside. I'm like, there's no place to go outside now that I'm interested in going, at least. Yeah, where do people even go? And so I think the whole idea of dating has actually become complicated just by multiple factors. And the downside to it is that if you are the person who is dating, you might feel like it's you, and it's probably not you. Like, okay, I ain't gonna lie. The last show, because you had a dating expert on, Amari, you do play a part, but it's not just you, right? It's not just you. That's the challenge. And so what I think you have going on is the fact that everybody's online now. Like, before, there were spaces where you can go to meet like people. There were clubs, there were restaurants. I remember in Atlanta, you would go to Einstein's, you would go to Joe's, you would go to 10th and Piedmont before they turned it into that travesty of what it is today. Like, there was Nikki Moto's that sat across from 10th and Piedmont. There were places you could go to meet people. And now we don't really have many places that's Black gay men. But I think that what happened is that people go online now and we mix and mingle now. I always say this, I've heard people say this in regards to integration and how it, may have ruined things or ruined the ability for Black people to be more successful. That's an argument that, things probably could have been better for us if we did not integrate. And we kept things segregated, and we were able to purchase our own and build up our own wealth, like so many other communities do, right? But yeah, neither here nor there. I just feel like because now it's not just like there aren't gay spaces by themselves, and sexuality has become so fluid and much more accepted that the spaces are starting to commingle. Which I'm okay with. I like commingle spaces, even though it's confusing a little bit, right? Because yeah, it's just, it can get a little confusing. And I know I say this as somebody who throws parties, right? That are commingled spaces. Commingled, and when I say commingling, I mean, you got a mix of the gays, the straights, and everybody else, everybody together. You got a good mix of people. But I do think that in addition to the commingling, there's also all the places that are now, everybody's smoking hookahs. And I don't want to go there to those spaces where people smoking hookah in a grass wall and plastic eating utensils. Like, I don't want to go there. Where are the spaces people go to meet? In addition to that, right, I think because there are no spaces, folks have flocked to these geolocator applications, these apps, right? And they go to the apps and they're on the apps and they're looking for people and they're finding people and they're probably hooking up, which hooking up is not just a gay thing. Everybody hooks up. I think that straight people are on the straight sites just as much as the gay people are on the gay sites, and they probably hooking up just as much, if not more. I'm just saying, that's my argument. I said what I said. It is what it is. But no, I think that people go on the sites now. And so now you're not only competing with people in your sort of area, you're competing with people in other places. And so you could be in Atlanta on the sites in LA, in Houston, in Chicago, in New York. Like, you can find people, and people are traveling now. And it's like people are going to the circuit parties in Houston, the circuit party in LA, the circuit party here. Like, they're traveling. And so I feel like things were so much more self-contained when I was coming up, and that, like, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit, right? That was what it was. Now it's just like, no, I'm talking to somebody in Detroit and, we might see how it goes. And yeah, so dating is difficult. So I do feel like that's another reason. And I also feel like the other reason why it can be difficult, especially for an older gay Black man, or I imagine, and I would say this because I'm not an older gay Black man. The reason why I imagine it would be the case is because I feel like their experience growing up as being gay is so different from today. And so they're looking for something different. Their experience is something different. You're also holding on to the trauma that you've experienced because you probably, if you're in your 50s, you experience your friends dying around you due to AIDS or HIV or anything, drugs even, right? I would say my generation, I've seen many people die of drugs and just being sick. And so I think that that's another thing. I think another factor for older gay Black men is that they're also carrying around the trauma of not being able to be themselves for such a long period of time. That's another piece of trauma that's being carried around that's not spoken about. And so I say all this to say, I think that part of it is societal, but some of it is also the trauma that many may carry around and not know. And so how do you go out and meet somebody if you may have grown up in a heavily religious household and weren't able to be yourself and you've never talked about it, right? Or that you grew up and, you really didn't have your first gay encounter until you were 40, 50, or you were a late bloomer, right? Or you were married to a woman and you have children and now you're gay, right? Like you realize, like, we don't talk about those things enough, and talk about the sort of what baggage that might be on you. Like, and so, but you're still out trying to find love, but you may have this picture in your head of what love looks like. Like, I would say, even if you're a gay of a certain age, you're probably looking for, what's his name? Basil Henderson from one of Elin Harris's books. Like, that's what my idea of what a partner was supposed to be like. Like, I was looking for that for a very, very long time. And let's not talk about, and my first Elin Harris book was, my grandmother gave it to me. She didn't know that it was what it was. She kind of glanced over it and gave it to me. But then when I went to sleep, I remember, one summer, cause I was like reading that book intensely. Like I couldn't put it down. And I was like, oh, my grandmother gave this to me too. I was reading the hell out of that book, and my grandmother, I remember, I guess I must have fell asleep, and she went and started reading the book, and she was like, "Oh my God." I can't believe I gave him that book. I couldn't put it down. I think she tried to hide it from me, and I went and found it and got it back. But yeah, that was, I mean, I say all that to say, like, that was my picture of what a mate will look like. But we want that, but we don't think about the baggage that we might be carrying around with us and how that ultimately is impacting our ability to find love. The love we want at that. And so I'd be interested. I would love to bring some friends together and have that conversation. I want to add to the conversation. So this is no discredit to the conversation that was had already with the first group of gay men, but I do think that this is something that should be had more widely and documented, because I think in order for us to normalize, like, who we are, you need to see how we think about it and know that some of the things that we're thinking about as gay Black men, I always kind of struggle with, what do you see first? You see that I'm Black. Then you see I'm a Black man. You don't see the gay part. I don't think so. Don't do it. Not today. But yeah, so I welcome that. And so hopefully I can get some of my friends together and we can continue to have this conversation and have you be a part of this conversation. That would actually be dope. So more to come on that, because it's very multifactorial and it's not just one thing, but there are multiple factors that we need to talk about. And I would also be interested to know whether or not, for my hetero friends, whether or not this is something that you all experience as well. And how do you experience it? So more to come there. So when I was in Jersey, I wanted to mention that I have straights. I call them my straights. And that's mainly my barbershop crew. And I tell them all the time that, like, I introduce them that way. And I'm being funny when I do it, but I think they appreciate it. And I do it, one, to let people know, like, hey, if you gay, don't come for them. Like, don't do it. That's my warning to everybody. I'm just like putting it out there. Hey, just so you know, he's straight. So don't try it. Cause I got some friends that are they're on a journey, right? And we're all at a different place in our journey. And so what I don't want is for them to get offended. And, look, we got a ally in the making. So I was hanging out, or I went to go visit with a friend while I was heading home back to the house in Patterson. And one of his friends came by. Now, for the love of my life, for the love of me, I thought that the friend was, one of the girls. And I was like, okay. So I'm talking to him. I'm like, and I made reference to something. I don't know, something that was gay. And my friend was like, oh, he's not gay. He's straight and he's married with a kid. So I said, oh, my apologies. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm married with a kid too. So what does that mean? He was like, he's married to a woman. I was like, okay. All right. But you still should know this. This is not like just what gay people should know. Needless to say, all right, move on. So we're having a good conversation because y'all know me. And when I'm feeling really comfortable and I liking the vibe, I can talk to a wall. So I guess we had a great conversation. We were talking about our high schools in Newark versus Patterson. I went to Rosa Parks. Arts High is big in Newark. And as a result, there's this rivalry. They're older, so they have much more experience than we do. We were not. And apparently they could name a bunch of people who were famous and graduated from Arts High, and I was struggling. So I really, really feel really low right now. And we need to work on that, folks from Rosa Parks, because anywho, he was like, after our going back and forth and joking and having a good conversation, he's like, hey, there's actually an open mic that's happening tomorrow, such and such. Would you be interested in going? And I was like, oh, bet. Yeah, definitely. I ain't got nothing else to do, so yeah, shoot me the information. And our mutual friend was like, and see, that's where you messed up. So he starts going off on dude. And he's like, and that's where you messed up, because you were supposed to ask me first before you went and invited my friend to such and such. So I'm like, oh shit, what's going on here? Cause I don't do this with my straights, right? I don't do this with mine, cause maybe I should, but They're listening like, no, you should not. So I'm sitting there like, oh, okay. And I was like, but it's okay. He said, you should have asked me first because now it seems like I need to go. And you don't know if I have something going on or am I? And I was like, but you don't have to go. The invite wasn't for you. I should have just shut my ass up. Right. So he's like, well, he was like, well, that's besides the point. He don't know that, or so I don't know. It was just something like that. So I just was like, so the guy kind of got quiet and shut down, which was interesting to me because, psych major, got a whole degree in it. So I like reading the room and reading body language as well, analyzing people. And he kind of shut down. And I was like, okay. And so I said to him in response, like the conversation had ended because he was sitting there like a puppy with his tail between his legs. And I was just like, hey, well, you can get my information from him or however, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Just shoot me the information so we could go. And then our mutual friend turns to me and was like, and that's where you went wrong because you should have said, and I was like, you know what? We don't do this in Atlanta. We don't do this in Atlanta. I'm protective of my friends. I'm all about, I want, is that a thing? Like, should he have asked him first before asking me to, or inviting me to an open mic? And did I need to ask him? That just sounds crazy. Shout out to the crazy people. This world would be a boring place without you. And I want you to know that. A boring ass place. Anyway, all right, y'all. That's where I am. That's what's happening in life. More to come on that. So, but before I go, I'm not going to ask you to do all that other stuff that I normally ask you to do. I got a different ask of you. And so the people who are watching, you see me pointing and looking at you. And the people who are listening know that I'm pointing and looking at you too. I want you to, after you get done listening to this, pick up your phone, the phone that's right there. And I want you to text just one random person and tell them you should check out this podcast and send them the link. Do that right now. Right now. I'll wait. I'm still waiting. All right. Do that. This show can only grow if you share. That's one easy way to do that. Share it out. Word of mouth. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying growing and developing with you all. This has been an awesome ride. Also, I'm just going to give you a heads up again. I said it a little bit at the beginning, or I alluded to it. Avery runs my life now. So I'm going to try to continue to get you episodes weekly like I normally have, but there might be some gaps. And so I want to give you, a heads up about that, but I'll try not to make that, or it may be gaps or inconsistencies. I may not be able to release on every Wednesday. So I want to give myself the grace to be a great parent. All right. So until we meet again, I bid you farewell, my kings and my queens and everything in between. I'm out, y'all.